No, I don't think you were. She retired, you know, so I went to a retirement party. Yeah, so I got to see Tori and Denise McKenzie. Yeah, and what else was there? You know what? Patty Grunwald, she was in coding, so she was kind of on her own. She's on Facebook now. Ruby's husband had a serious work accident and was in a coma. And yeah, couldn't know. So I gotta ask you, I don't know. I'm not on Facebook, Oh, really? Is it Jason's name? No, what's his name? Jason, I think. I think it is, yeah. Yes. Way to go. I know. Yes, she is.
Yes, it's nearly well
Tim's still hanging in there, huh? Can he just blow it off, or how does he go? Yeah. Remember Pam Johnson? Well, she had left, but her and Karen were real good friends. And then, oh yeah, I loved her. We used to get together too outside of work and have a beer. Yeah. Remember her story? Before she told you that she was going to let
I realized yesterday that I hadn't even looked at the DUUC channel.
because they were the best friends. So Karen found that out she just dropped her like a puppy. We're talking Hill's part of this stuff. They know anyway. So yeah, our friendship ended.
And some young lady found it in the mailbox and started doing our mail.
Oh, she didn't. It was put in the mail.
The secret mailbox on the walking path. Okay, this guy who walks a lot. And so for over a year, we've been corresponding with notes for each other. Well, a young lady found our secret mailbox and sent us a message like, we've been reading over any of your mails. And you laugh, I was angry. Because she would walk with her dad.
You said you'd been here, right?
She read the first,
Aslan's?
and I left a note that said,
Somebody else told me that. Okay.
oh, and
For something.
I got a note that said, you're really weird.
All sorts of things upstairs.
In any case,
That people read.
so I got angry,
Oh, especially if you leave a note saying, this is private.
So Bill and I, we decided to go to the okay? So I had a cheerleading that was really cool because of the guy, so I cut that off and today we're gonna go out, or Monday, we're gonna go and find a new place to put this log. So that we can find our mail.
How did they discover the first one?
I put your flyers
I
here.
put it one day,
Call it tree table.
kind of sticking out.
So, yeah, that's where sometimes speakers tell you can.
And it was sticking out one day, and so I stuffed it all in, but it's possible that, our footprints.
There's something. There's no words always up on the screen unless you want to look at the notes. Okay.
Our in-gathering is a little different than what we've been doing, but it's one we've done before. It's 402, from you I receive, to you I give, number 402. And if you just want to play it through.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dawn, and I use she, her pronouns. I want to welcome everyone, new guests, people online. Thanks for joining us. I want to remind everyone that there's an offering plate in the back, and there are places online to donate. We do try to keep the service to about an hour, but if you feel the need to leave because we're going over, please feel free to do so. We will not judge. Today, we welcome Lorna Hafregi. Did I get it? Okay. From Hospice. She has worked in hospice for 14 years in a variety of roles. She is passionate about learning who people are, what matters most to them, and supporting them and their families through end of life. We're so happy to have you. Thank you for coming. So next Sunday, Brian's going to be speaking on the healing nature of spiritual community. If anyone is interested in serving on the speaker planning team, please see Brian or Carrie. They could use some help. Are there other announcements?
I have one. The donations that we did for the United Way, we collected $330. We made 5 dental hygiene packs and bought a whole bunch of assorted paper goods and cleaning supplies, and got them all delivered yesterday, thanks to Kelly and Deb and Jim.
Actually, on Friday, but
Pardon?
on Friday.
On Friday. On Friday. And also thanks to Todd and Steve. So, there we go.
Anyone else? Anyone online?
The Cuba Gallery olives into this today on the door. 6601 Auto Club Road, House in Woods.
And I heard they might have a live owl.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a barn owl.
Really?
Last call for announcements.
I'm not sure which one.
I took the Moose Jaw has a book, a 3-night book discussion on social change now. And I did the first lesson last Thursday. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. the next Thursday and the following Thursday. And they did say that I can invite anybody that even if you missed last week, you are welcome to join it. It was very good discussions, 6 to 8.
Kelly, can you tell us what Moose Jaw stands for?
Minnesota Unitarian Universalist Social Justice Alliance. Sorry.
You get a sticker for that.
And the Social Change Now book is a really good reflective, hands-on strategy kind of book for not only individuals but also communities to identify the best way to change the world.
Okay, well, with this, I invite everyone to take a deep, slow, gentle breath in. And as you exhale just as intentionally, try to separate yourself from the chaos and bring yourself here with us now as we meditate during this musical prelude.
Thanks, Madison.
Now we're going to read responsibly some opening words. Brian wrote these, and he's calling this the sacred work of accompaniment. In this place, we honor the sacred work of hospice, a ministry of presence, comfort, and deep compassion. Here, we remember that healing does not always mean cure, and that comfort is its own kind of grace.
We open our hearts to the truth that love's power is not measured by outcomes, but by how gently we hold one another through life's final passages.
Hospice reminds us that each life is whole, that the body, the heart, the mind, and the spirits are threads of one sacred tapestry.
We affirm the care that sees the whole person, not just the illness, but the story, not just the body, but the soul.
Within hospice care, family stands not at the edge, but within the circle of compassion. Their grief, their fatigue, their courage, all are honored as part of the holy work of love.
We give thanks for those who hold vigil, for those who listen, for those who bring comfort without needing to fix or judge.
We light our chalice for the light that endures even in the shadow of death, a flame for dignity, for autonomy, for each person's right to choose the path that is theirs to walk.
This flame reminds us that compassion is stronger than fear, and that presence is the greatest gift we can give.
In the spirit of discovering more about giving comfort and peace and honoring life's sacred wholeness, we light this chalice and say,
May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers, to heal with love, to help with compassion, to bless with joy, to serve you, Spirit of freedom, in the fullness of community.
okay, all right. There we go. Please rise in body and or spirit for our next hymn, 128, For All That Is Our Life.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use, to build the common good, and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use, to build the common
Please be seated. Now is time for our beloved community moment, a moment when we share concern for people inside and outside our congregation being impacted by larger external conditions. In today's beloved community moment, we pause to consider the violations and indignities being suffered by those in our community being racially profiled by ICE and other law enforcement agencies. Black and brown people are being pulled over and harassed with bogus traffic stops as a pretense. Recent reporting has brought to light that this has been a prevalent practice in Memphis, Tennessee since September. First, we acknowledge that those in our congregation who are white have the privilege of living without these concerns. And we acknowledge that this has been a long-standing problem across the U.S. for decades. But upticks in these illegal practices are part of this administration's efforts to other certain groups of people, and we're not having it. By our advocacy, our voting choices, our donation choices, and actions, we will push back against racial profiling and bogus law enforcement stops. We will let our black and brown neighbors know that no matter what language they speak, they are welcome here, that they belong here as part of our beloved community. So I'm going to light a candle in concern for those living under constant police scrutiny within their neighborhoods. And now that's going to segue us into our joys and concerns. That's when we talk about the joys and concerns more relevant to us here. So if you have a joy or concern to share, please come on up and light a candle and let us know how you're feeling, what's going on with you. Mm-hmm. And if you're on the video and you want, let me know and I will light a candle for you.
So today's subject reminded me of when my mom was in hospice. She was at home and getting care at home, and she was kind of losing her desire for food. But she had a real craving for tomato aspic, and hospice sent over a young lady, and this candle is for her, a young woman who'd probably never even heard of tomato aspic. And she took Mom's recipe card and she made tomato aspic as well as my mom did.
This is for the young Hispanic man that approached me while I was doing yard work this week. And he was in kind of a beat-up car. And Rumpel pulled over and he asked if we needed any car detailing. You could just tell that he was, down on luck, and I just sent my hopes that he found other people that he had the bravery to approach complete strangers. And we probably should have just given him something, but then that would have compromised his integrity, I suppose. Well, who knows?
Yeah. What do you do?
Give him money.
I have something.
Megan has one.
Many.
We'll get you after Holly.
Oh, okay.
You said joys and concerns here, but mine, as well as here, is for my friends in Tanzania, or Tanzania, as many say. If you go on the news or you try to Google it, you will probably find that everything's fine after the election. The reason that's being said is that they're shooting everyone who questions it or dares put something on social media about what's happening, but I checked in with my two friends. Our trip leader, whom you probably heard me say, which is a delightful young Maasai man who was brilliant and loving and fun, and he is sleeping under his bed or near the window so he can jump out. And I thought, well, my friend Sandra should be okay because she's white. So I checked in with her, and no, because she's Kenyan. So they're killing Kenyans. And the news will tell you maybe a few hundred have been killed. They both tell me 2,000 or 3,000. So I pray for them and also for our country to wake up before we start doing that stuff.
Many of
Megan, did
you,
you have something?
I do. Many of you in the congregation remember my husband.
Go ahead, Megan.
Check the TV volume.
No?
I have. Can you not hear me?
Okay, you want to try one more time, Megan?
Okay, thank you. Many of you remember my
Still can't
husband
hear
Paul. Can't hear me?
Okay, I'm just going to light a candle for Megan, and we will.
You can also go into chat, and the chat will come up in a little message box at the bottom.
Okay, this is that.
There's that candle again.
Oh, boy.
You gotta hold it on the flame longer
right.
than normal candles.
All right, we'll get this. We'll get this. Oh, look at that one. Okay. There we go. Megan, your concern is in our hearts. Anybody else?
Paul died.
Okay.
I just have to say, this is like so powerful. My gosh, I'm so moved by this, but kind of a joy and a concern, so twofold. But I have a dear niece, Jenna, and after 6 years of trying to have a baby, baby's coming. Baby Aiden, little boy, is due December 5th, but due to some health complications with her, they're gonna induce her the day after Thanksgiving. So while we are so insanely crazy joyful as a family, we're also concerned. So if everybody could keep Jenna and her husband and our little nephew in their thoughts and send good vibes. I will be back in Wisconsin for Thanksgiving, and I'm hoping to meet the little critter right away. I'm going to try not to storm the hospital the second after he's born, but I'm kind of that aunt. So we're really excited. He is already so loved. Poor little guy, he doesn't know what's going to hit him when he comes into our family.
Oh, there's worse things.
There is worse things, you're right.
So my son and daughter-in-law are still in Thailand, and now I have Felix the cat at my house because I was going there every other day, and then he got free from his prison for being isolated in a bedroom for 2.5 weeks. So he tore out of that room and checked out everything in the house, and then I brought him to my house, which is maybe not such a good idea because I'm reacting to him now pretty much big time. But my son's supposed to come back tomorrow, but he's feeling sick, and it sounds like COVID symptoms.
Oh, boy.
So, but he said to bring him over to his house in the afternoon tomorrow, and he's arriving in the evening, if the flights are on time. So, okay, that's it for today.
So confusing.
Oh, yes, okay,
Yeah, I can read it here.
okay. Well, let's make it
The
official
first
then.
one, there was two, there was another message too.
Yep, she's adding more. Can you scroll? No, I can't, because it's over off the side of the screen.
Okay. Megan writes, Paul died 17 years ago tomorrow. Both he and my mother were in hospice at the same time, and our hospice nurse said it was the first time she had two patients at the same time at the same home. Hospice was so wonderful and so helpful. I'm not sure how I would have ever managed without our wonderful hospice nurse.
Okay, anybody else? All right, so I'm going to light a last candle for all the joys and concerns that remain unspoken. And we will just say together, as I do this, we hold you in our hearts. Now I just have to get back to my page. So now it's time to introduce our guest speaker once again. And let's welcome Lorna for presenting Hospice, Preparing for the Journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm truly honored to be here. I was really excited to be asked to speak, and then after I talked to Peggy, who I worked with for a number of years, was just even more excited to hear about the wonderful community that you have here, and just really witnessing the compassionate for those less fortunate, and just all the good that you're putting out in the world through action and thoughts, and it really does matter. I shared with Peggy that I'm a recovering Catholic, and I understand there may be a few of you in the crowd, and that could be a whole nother topic that I would not speak on. But this is just really so refreshing and just really remarkable. So as Dawn shared, I've been working in the field of hospice for 14 years. I'm a clinical social worker, so I have a master's degree and then licensed at the clinical level. And when people ask, oh, what do you do for a living? I tell them, and that can you can hear the bomb drop, that's a party stopper, because no one wants to talk about that, right? Or people share a story about a family member, or I commonly hear things like, oh, I don't know how you do that, and oh, you're an angel, and you're doing God's work, and all those things. And my response is always, this is such privileged work. It's sacred, it's moving, it's powerful. And it's really hard to put into words, and I've been doing a lot of reflecting since I was asked to speak, and there's just really, it's really hard to put into words what this is like. To meet with people during the hardest time. They get a terrible diagnosis. Sometimes I'm the first one they see. They're processing with that. It's just really privileged, and I think for those people that I work with, there's a work bond like no other. You know, it's not like we're at the water cooler talking about the latest reality show. I mean, we are debriefing at our cars or on the phone about this very, very powerful experience. We maybe have been the last one to be with someone when they take their last breath. I mean, it's just beyond powerful, and it's moving, and we're very privileged to be able to do this work. So certainly not an angel. I have been called an angel of death before, which is not exactly the title I was hoping for. The young aide said, "Oh my gosh, you're like an angel of death." And she quickly ran away from me, and I paused because I thought, gosh, what do I represent and what does hospice represent? So I'm really passionate about providing education and dispelling myths about it, because even hospice has been around since the 80s. There are so many myths, and I hear them every day. And I think because of some of those myths, people don't even want to say the word hospice. Don't tell mom. Please don't tell mom where you're from. And it's like, why? And then we sometimes will talk around that to honor a family wish, and then the mom will say, oh, it sounds like hospice. Yep, Ethel, it is hospice, and that's where we are from. I don't know where Ethel came from. But so there's just all this, we are a culture that we don't want to talk about hard stuff, especially when it's our own family. We're death avoidant. I could go on and on about that. But so thank you again for having me. Really honored to be here. So in my 14 years, I've had 3 primary different roles. For a couple of years, I was a hospice liaison at Regions Hospital. So after people would meet with their, usually the palliative care physician and receive a diagnosis, I would be someone who would come in and provide information about hospice, talk through goals of care, what does this look like at home, and kind of doing some of that upfront work. So when people leave the hospital, there was a good plan in place. I've also worked on a care team, which I'll talk more about what that involves, but that is meeting with people ongoing from the time that the service starts through end of life. And then I most recently have been on the admission team. So I'm out all over doing consults and getting people set up with the service and providing education and working through things. So I've not seen it all. Just when I think I have, I really haven't. So it's just, it's great work. There's nothing I love more than getting a name, an address, and then finding out who people are and what matters, because that's really what frames hospice care. I took a lot of notes because I didn't want to miss a thing. And I always tell people that they got the social worker, and that's who you all have gotten today. So you can decide how that works for you at the end. So what is hospice? It's actually a philosophy of care that is focused on comfort and quality of life. And quality of life means different things to different people. And I really would encourage you to think about what that means for you. There's no 2 people that where things matter most to them. Maybe later I will share a story about Bob, who taught me all about what quality of life meant to him and the decisions he made toward the end of his life. But it reminded me to talk about Bob. And the focus is not on dying. We do not come in and talk about you're dying, you're dying, you're dying. It's about how do you want to live with the time that you have left? None of us know how much time we have left, but really we are hoping for more good days. And what does a good day look like for you, and then how do you want to use that time? Because that is what hospice is about, really living life to the fullest. And the service itself is covered 100% by Medicare Part A. It's also covered by Medicaid, which is the federal name for medical assistance, which we call, that's what we have in Minnesota. People will say, well, I'm not on Medicaid. Yes, you are. Minnesota, so that's why people will say, oh, these Medicaid cuts that's okay if the government does that, because I'm on medical assistance. That is the same. So just like to throw that out. And then also private insurance will cover hospice. Sometimes people will have a deductible with their plan, but usually by the time they are meeting with hospice, they've usually had extensive medical work, so they've met that deductible, unless it's the beginning of the year. That's another animal. And some hospices won't charge for care. So if we are working with people from immigrants who only have emergency medical assistance, that does not cover hospice, but some hospice agencies will forego the cost. So I would encourage you to support those hospice agencies that have that as part of their woven fabric to serve the underserved. So hospice, it's a service of when physicians are no longer recommending treatment, or people are saying, I am more sick from the chemo, or I just don't want to be doing radiation every day. Like, this is a grind. I just want to forego all that and focus on comfort. So with hospice, we assume that role of 911. So if there's any concerns day or night, people call us, and we have nurses available around the clock who are taking those calls and who are able to give medication directives and guidance over the phone. And we're able to do that because we have hospice physicians available around the clock who are telling those nurses the orders to give, which is different now than we all call our clinic. We wait for a callback. We wait for a prescription. You know, it's just like, ooh, Medicare says hospice programs, you can cut through all that red tape while trying to manage things in the home and try to avoid the emergency room and the hospital if we can. And I'll talk more about that. But this is, you know, this is a huge shift in care for people, and not one that I ever take lightly, because to not pick up that phone and call 911 and trust that hospice program, I mean, that's hard. That is hard to do, and it's a shift because we are all programmed to just call and get the bells and the whistles going with someone off. But with that, the train leaves the station. And people will say, oh my gosh, we called 911 for mom. Before we knew it, she was in for scans. She was in for blood work. She was poked, she was prodded, she had tubes. She never wanted that. Well, that's what happens when we call 911. It's not a bad thing, I'm just saying the train leaves the station. And people are done unto. But with hospice, it really is the healthcare system is slowing down. You call, there's something that's happening, the nurse on the other end, let's talk through that. Here's what we can do. You know, an example may be somebody fell. Well, did they just kind of lose their balance and kind of crump down? Well, then we might call the local paramedic for a non-emergency lift assist to help that person. Did they hit their head? Is there blood? Is there fractures? That's a different situation. But we're going to slow down and we're going to talk to you before we get the healthcare system going, if you will. And I'll talk a little bit more about that too. But hospice, it's really a time where people are given control over the healthcare. You decide. This isn't about what the hospice physician thinks. It's not what the nurse thinks. It's not what I think. What do you want? Because you are in charge of your own healthcare. I frequently see this, and for myself too. When we enter a medical system, we enter into patienthood. We're the one in bed 3. We're the one with the heart failure lady down at the end of the hall. We're this. So with hospice, I feel like we move from patienthood to personhood. And we're really looking at the whole person, what matters to them, as well as their family, because we know people come in packages. We all have families, for better, for worse, some of them. But we're really focused on that whole person care, which Brian kind of alluded to in one of the, whatever you would call
The
devotions.
readings, yeah.
The readings, thank
Yeah.
you. So, and with hospice, you know, people don't typically see specialists anymore. You know, we're not concerned about, well, what does the cardiologist say about the increase in swelling? Because for us, our vantage point is, well, what are we going to do with that information? We expect some of these things to happen. So it's really the hospice physician who's overseeing, taking the role on that end of life comfort symptom management care. So like I said, people don't typically see the oncologist, the cardiologist, those specialty people, and a lot of times that's really hard. people say, I've seen my oncologist, I've seen Dr. Jahagadar for 8 years, like what, I don't get to see them? So we always recommend like kind of a closure visit, could be a call, could be a visit, but not for the purpose of ongoing recommendations or treatment or things like that. With hospice, dental and vision appointments are just fine. People don't need to stop going to them. So people will often ask, well, gosh, if I don't get scans and if I don't get blood work and all these other things, how are you going to know my cancer is progressing? How are you going to know how to treat me? Well, there's certain clinical indicators that we watch for that tell us disease is progressing. We don't need a scan to tell us that. You know, so with cancer, we see increased weakness, weight loss, fatigue, could be confusion. With cardiac issues, it could be increased swelling, shortness of breath, fatigue. So we can tell based on how someone's presenting that disease is progressing without numbers, because we're not focused on the numbers. People often will say, gosh, we thought hospice was only for cancer. We thought you had to have cancer to have hospice. And that's just simply not the case. We see people with dementia, Alzheimer's, post-stroke, alcohol-related illnesses, cancer, heart disease, you know, you name it. So it's not, the service is not disease specific. And we're a service that goes wherever people live. So sometimes the biggest myth is, well, we thought we had to go somewhere. No, we come to private homes, nursing homes, assisted livings, homeless shelters. I had Care Team 7, had someone in a tent once. So it's like we just go wherever people live. And it's not uncommon for maybe someone starts out in a home setting and then maybe they say, boy, due to my increased care needs, I really want to go somewhere that has 24-hour nursing. So then part of the hospice care team role is to help find an alternate setting based on patient preferences, and then we will help set up the move to the next setting. But hospice does not cover room and board at facilities. People are often surprised to hear that. So the daily rate at a residential hospice home or a nursing home, that is private pay unless you have that medical assistance. So that's often a big, people are often surprised about that. So how, and I would say the biggest limitation of hospice is that we're a visiting service. So what that means is, as much as I would love to stay from noon to 3 or overnight to help families out, Medicare just doesn't allow that. So the primary role of caregiving really does rely on family or facility care. Certainly visits can be longer if there's symptom management needs. You know, the nurse isn't going to say, oh, sorry, I've been here an hour. You know, I'm going to hit the road now. You know, we're going to stay till the symptom is resolved. But that day-to-day hands-on care, we're not able to provide that. So sometimes if people are in private homes, families will hire outside caregiving agencies like Visiting Angels. I'm not promoting them, that's a common one that I'm not promoting and not demoting them. Just to be clear, I'm not affiliated with them. But they may hire a private caregiving agency and then the hospice team will partner with them. So there's, we just really envelop the care system, or surround the care system that people already have but aren't able to provide that 24-hour care. So how is someone eligible for hospice? It's 2 physicians saying that if disease takes its normal course, life expectancy would be 6 months or less. So the first physician referring may be a palliative care doctor in the hospital, could be that specialty provider, primary physician. So that's the first one. And then the second certifying physician is the hospice doctor. So because no one knows how much time anyone has, if someone meets eligibility criteria for their specific illness, Medicare requires that after the first 90 days of being on the service, the care team submit information showing why someone continues to be eligible. So Medicare is looking for things like hospice is managing more symptoms, people are sleeping more, they're eating less, there's been weight loss, they're falling. So we do that after the first 90 days, after the second 90 days, and then every 60 days thereafter. So that's why you can hear like, what, Jimmy Carter was on hospice over a year? How did that work? I would like to think that he had to follow Medicare guidelines too. Or sometimes you can hear like, what, they said my loved one isn't eligible anymore. Like, how did that work? Sometimes we see when hospice gets involved and people are getting extra care and their symptoms are better managed, their condition can stable out. And then at any time, so let's say someone is no longer eligible and there's a change 3 days later, 3 months later, you can always call hospice back to do a reevaluation. In my years, I've probably seen people who are found not to qualify anymore are typically people who have Alzheimer's or dementia, because sometimes we see a steep decline, and then because it's such a harrowing, long illness, it can last 12 plus years, people can stable out, and then unfortunately hospice has to step out, which is really hard for everyone, because it's the last thing we want to do. But that's a common thing that we might see. So with hospice, people can sign off of the service at any time. So I always tell people you're not locked in. If all of a sudden you change your mind and you want to go back to the hospital for real aggressive care, meaning IV fluids or scans, or maybe there's a fracture that's resulted from a fall and you want to pursue surgical repair, it's a simple signature, hospice steps out, and then people are able to pursue the treatment that they want. So no, like I said, no one's ever locked in. So it's not uncommon, if people have surgery for a hip fracture, they might go for therapies at a transitional care unit and then come back on hospice, because Medicare won't cover therapies and hospice at the same time. Boy, I feel like I'm just rattling here. I hope it's okay.
Good information.
Oh, good. And as I said earlier, the goal is to try to avoid the hospital in the emergency room if we can, but we can never promise that. So let's say that someone is having a pain-related crisis and our nurses have done everything they can in the home. Our hospice physician may say, boy, this person really needs to go back to the hospital for what we call general inpatient care. So with that, there's an army of people, I'm just using regions because that's what I'm familiar with, but there's an army of us working behind the scenes with regions to let them know we have somebody on our program coming for the purpose of symptom management. Do not start all the scans, do not start all the stuff. And with that, we can bypass the emergency room and have the person directly admitted up on the palliative care floor. The palliative care team is waiting to receive that person to get a handle on symptoms. And then when those symptoms are resolved, the plan is to have the person go back to the home. So while someone is at on a general inpatient level stay, a hospice nurse is visiting daily. And then if I'm your social worker, I will also come too, because I want to know what's going on and to provide support. But then the purpose is to get the person back into their home setting. So that's a little bit about that. So one way we can help provide or prevent hospitals is that at time of hospice admission, we are sending out what's called a ready access medication kit to the home. And we do that for everyone on the program. And in that set of medication, there's things for pain, nausea, restlessness, sleep, for secretions that may develop when people have trouble swallowing at end of life. And we ask people to set that aside, because that may be the go-to medications that our hospice nurses are directing you to if something comes up, because we don't want you to have to wait several hours for us to get medications in the home. People often get very uncomfortable because morphine is in that kit, and people associate that with, we are going to kill you. People will say, no, morphine, that's gonna kill my loved one. And I just wanna assure everyone that hospice physicians are starting with the most minimal effective dose. I remember talking to Dr. Mogg, and I said, well, this, the concern is that, this morphine dose is high, and he said, Lorna, there's people driving by you on 94 on way more medication than this little bit. And I'm like, oh. So now when I'm on 94, I'm like, oh. But I mean, and I can't tell you how many times I've been asked if I could help end someone's life. Can you please just give me extra or do that? And we say, we can't do that. There's nothing about hospice that can help speed up someone's death, nor can we help prevent it. Research does show, however, that people who are on hospice whose symptoms are better managed do live longer, but we cannot kill someone. And people ask me, why can't you do that? That is against the law, and I can't do that. But yeah, so people, we do a lot of reassurance that this isn't, we're not about that. This is about symptom management. And relieving suffering at end of life, but not about hastening someone's death. So please get that word out. We're not here to kill you. So as I mentioned before, this is about whole person care. And what I love about hospice the most is that it's a multidisciplinary team. So what that means is we are really looking at someone as a whole, and for me it's really important to find out what matters most to people. Not only you who is getting our direct service, but you as the spouse, you as the brother, whoever's there, I want to know what's important to them, because that is really what guides our care. And that simple question of what matters most to you is really a window into someone's soul, and what, if they're comfortable sharing, and most people are. So with like I said, there's a hospice physician. The role of that physician is to help give medication recommendations and guidance. The hospice physicians are always willing to come and meet with families or talk to them on the phone, or in person or on the phone. And I can't tell you how many families have said to me over the years, no one has ever told us this. We had no idea. So our physicians will say, if you just painting that broad brush stroke of these are the things that are happening. This is what you can expect as time goes on. And people say, I had no idea. So it's really looking at that whole medical history, because the oncologist is the cancer doctor. So if you have cardiology, we are so siloed as a medical system. So palliative care professionals, hospice physicians, are looking at the whole thing, and they're like, that's why mom's been losing weight. Oh my gosh. And what to expect as things go on, if things take a typical course. Hospice physicians, I just have such respect for them. There's a nurse on the team, so typically a nurse is taking the primary lead. How often the nurse visits someone really depends on how someone's doing. So if things are seemingly going along fine, the nurse might come once a week, but more as someone's body's changing. So it's really someone's body who's guiding us. So there's no two people on the service that look the same. Or some people say, less is more, I'll call you, nope, don't call me, kind of thing. So it really depends. And when the nurse visits, I think of it as a clinic visit coming right to the person's bedside. They're taking vitals, they are asking all those good nursing questions, and they're making sure that you have the medications that you need. Any medications that are related to the diagnosis that someone comes on our program with is covered by Medicare or the alternate insurance. Some medications that Medicare hospice benefit doesn't cover are things that are considered non-essential. The vitamins, the cholesterol medications, the things that are recommended for people who have years and years of life expectancy. It's not that people can't take their multivitamins or whatever other supplements they're using. It's just that we don't provide those or have those delivered to your door. And a lot of people will say, boy, I feel so much better. Because at time of hospice admission, our nurse is going through like, well, you could cut that out, you could cut that out. A lot of times people don't even know why they're taking these medications. People are taking handfuls. And I just think if you're already feeling gross and your body's changing and you don't know, the body doesn't know how to process these, people often tell us they tend to feel better after stopping the statins and things like that. I mean, we'd rather have you have a bowl of ice cream than have a handful of pills. I mean, honestly, oh no. I hope I'm not gonna start I wasn't prepared to do therapy today, couples therapies. I don't do a couple, so. So that's really the role of the nurse. Of course, there's a social worker on the team. People always say, we don't need a social worker. I would beg to differ. I think everybody needs a social worker. My husband does not think he does, but he's so lucky to have me. But I think the role of social worker is very confusing because we don't come with a guitar. We don't come with a stethoscope. We don't come with a Bible. So people always wonder, like, what are you doing here? Like, are you just coming to chat? Oh, I have gathered a lot of information in the 5 minutes that we were together. I'm assessing your mood, I'm assessing your coping, I'm learning about your values, I'm learning what matters to you, and you just don't even know that was all happening. We're tricky like that. One of my all-time favorite patients, his name is Louis. He said to me, Lorna, after all this time, I still don't know what the hell you do. And I said, oh, Louis. And I we had kind of a cool really cool relationship. And one time he said to me, why the hell did I just tell you all that? He goes, I know you're doing something. I've never told anybody that. I said, see, Louis, I am doing something. Louis was also the person who didn't understand why I couldn't have a beer with him. Well, just come back at 5:01. I'm not going to tell anyone. I said, I know, but Louis, I would know. But anyway, and Louis was also the person to tell me that living to 100 would be crap. He's like, that'd be crap. But yeah, so people just don't understand, but there is a lot more. We're there to help navigate this healthcare system that is challenging for us, and we work with it every day. We're here to do the legwork for families in terms of, are you looking for a different care option? Are you looking for facility placement? We're doing all those behind the scenes work. We're helping to know how to best talk to your children or your grandchildren. We know if we're not honest with kids, they'll make it up themselves. And if we don't use language that is real, again, they'll make it up for themselves, which complicates grief down the road. So we don't want to take grandma out of her home. I'm just here to tell everybody that. People always think we want to take your kids and your grandma. We don't want either. We just want you to feel really well supported. So that's a little bit about our role. We have home health aides that come and provide additional bathing support. I myself think they're the most valuable person on the team. They are the ones who can really teach families how to best care for their loved ones. They have taught me, you don't need to fight with sheets, Lorna. No, there's a way to hold them to help best reposition someone in bed. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right, you don't have to fight with that. They have the most intimate job in terms of, if they're giving a full shower or a bed bath, I mean, they are the one that is seeing someone in their entirety. I mean, you want to talk about being in a vulnerable position, and our home health aides are just so kind and gentle, and they're really the unsung heroes, I think, of the hospice team. They can wash hair in bed without making a mess. I mean, they just have some real mad skills. And I know Peggy has worked with home health aides over the years and knows just the value and the worth, and they are just really are educating families in terms of how to best care for their loved ones. So if a home health aide is ever offered, take somebody up on that. They're really great. We have music therapists. Our music therapists are there to help provide support, and if people are having anxiety or any kind of shortness of breath, they're kind of magical, but they change the way they play to match someone's breath, and they're doing things too that I still don't even really understand how they do all what they do, but it's just amazing how music can bring back such wonderful life review. You're like, what was your favorite music? Well, it was from the 50s. Well, of course it was. That's when you were out dancing with Dad, or having fun, or so it brings up a lot of stories and just good times when people were having the time of their life. And so music therapy, I think, is really great. We also offer massage therapy. The massage therapist will come right to wherever people live, and if people just want a certain area of their body focused on shoulders or hands or full body, the massage therapist will do that. They typically come a couple times a month. We have a respite option. Medicare will cover that. So let's say that you are living, I'll just say my husband and I'm caring for him and I get the flu or what have you. The hospice agencies contract with local nursing facilities around the metro, and they will provide a 5 overnight stay where they will arrange the transportation to and from. They will make sure medications are delivered there ahead of time, and then the hospice team is visiting them right at that respite stay and then arranging with the plan to go home. So Medicare will cover that respite benefit during that first 90 days, again during the second 90 days, and then every 60 days. So I worked just recently with a family. The woman was being cared for by her niece, and that way she just knew that she would have 5 days where she could sleep, she could just get a break from caregiving, because boy, it's a lot. We always tell people, though, it's not like a hotel. People say, well, I really would like December 3rd. Oh my gosh, I'm talking too much. I knew it.
Save time for questions.
Oh yeah.
We'll have to, so what we'll do is have the final
Oh
couple
my
thoughts,
gosh.
and then we'll do the rest during treats.
Okay, so I will, a couple things. So we also offer bereavement services for families. So we always tell people we're not going anywhere. For 13 months after the death of a loved one, you can call us. We have wonderful grief counselors who will talk on the phone, talk in person. If our grief counselors feel like, boy, this person could use some more intensive long-term therapy, they will connect you with a therapist who can provide that. The Medicare hospice benefit will also cover medical equipment. We have that delivered to the home. Hospital beds, walkers, wheelchairs, commodes. We always say, boy, before you buy something, let us know, because if we can have that delivered to your home, we will. As well as incontinence products, gloves, wipes, pull-ups, again, delivered right to your door. Oh gosh, I have more. So I just, quickly, I will say, I'm just trying to get what's really most important, but I just can't stress enough the importance of having a healthcare directive. I brought a copy here. You can get these online. These have saved family World War III, 4, and 5. It's really hard to argue with Mom's word when you see it in her writing. She signed it, and she has named you as the person to speak for her and named an alternate. and maybe she's taken the time to talk about what's important to her. Because I always think death and weddings bring out the worst in people. This is a time where families will say, no, mom didn't want that, and then the other one says, oh no, she told me at that Christmas in 1978 that she did want this, but boy, when you have something in writing, and well, what did mom say? And we know she can't talk right now, but according to this. But even if people don't express their real in-depth written wishes, it's really important to at least name someone, because especially with blended families, it can get really, really messy. So if there's a named agent and then you name an alternate, if someone can't do that. You don't need an attorney for a healthcare directive. How they become a legal document is someone's signature is either witnessed by a notary or two people who are not related witness the document. The witness cannot be someone that's named as an agent. I have more, but I just will, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Bishop Marian Edgar. She's been in the news. She's with the St. Albans Episcopal Church out east, and she's the one that spoke against some of our political things that have been happening. She was in the news. I follow their Facebook page. It's just a breath of fresh air, and they are just so about social justice and really kind of fits in with, I think, what you all are doing today. But they just posted this poem that I will end, I'll promise I'll end. You got the social one today. That it reads, every minute someone leaves the world behind. We are all in the line without knowing it. We never know how many people are before us. We cannot move to the back of the line. We cannot step out of the line. We cannot avoid the line. So while we wait in the line, make moments count. Make priorities. Make the time. Make your gifts known. Make everyone feel like a somebody. Make your voice heard. Make the small things big. Make someone smile. Make the change. Make up. Make peace, and make sure to tell your people they are loved.
Thank you.
So, yes, thank you very much. Yeah. And I promise one more thing. I never want people to be, feel like they're out there on their own trying to figure this all out. I know Carrie has my contact information, Peggy has my contact information, both email and phone. If you ever have questions, you're wondering about something, feel free to reach out. I don't have all the answers, but I certainly can direct you who to call. So, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna have a musical prelude, and then we're just gonna close, and then we can ask our questions. If she's willing to stay a little bit longer.
Oh, of course.
Okay, all right.
One more thing, I put on the treat table, Peggy called it your treat table, some information about hospice that was put together by the Minnesota Hospice and Palliative Care Association. So take those and, yeah.
So we've got a closing hymn.
Oh, you want us to go to that? Sure.
Are we doing that? Yeah, we should
Yeah.
probably do that. Sorry about that. I'm just making suggestions.
Okay. Actually, we don't have a closing hymn, I don't think.
We can have more questions.
So we'll just have a postlude, and then I'll extinguish the chalice, and then we can go to questions, okay?
All right.
Now I threw her off.
Kelly and I've got to run.
Okay, so go ahead. No hostages, remember? No,
That's right.
no judgment.
No judgment.
Oh, music.
Okay, and here's our sending insight provided by Brian. As we depart from this sacred time, may we carry with us the quiet strength of those who serve and care. May we remember that love is not measured by the length of days, but by the depth of presence. May we walk gently with all who suffer, honoring each person's dignity and offering comfort without condition. Go in peace, held by the same light that guides us through every ending and every beginning. So let it be. Okay, treats. Treats and questions, treats and questions. Do you want to come back up here, Lorna?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so Lorna's going to come back up and take your questions that you might have.
I want to know the story of Bob.
Yeah, right.
We love,
Maybe we should wait till they grab a treat and then we can.
Yeah.
Should we?
It'll be a little bit loud till people grab it.
Yeah.
Let Lorna help herself.
Yeah.
That's when you basically say,
Scary.
another time for my stuff. I'm so sorry. Going off getting there. And I've never gone so I'm so sorry. Anyway, really, let it go. This seems so heavy up there. It's nice to see. Like mine. Yeah, like mine. This is fun.
Would you like coffee or tea?
Jeez, I just.
Once before.
Yeah, I bought on Friday night. Yeah,
Oh, napkins are for the food. I think in the reader box. There's some number treats over here too. What am I, because you're like, you know how people say they don't know how they had time to work? That's how I feel. Just traveling, getting together with girlfriends.